Transformation, Robert Grover. I used to be very shy and afraid of people. When I was a teenager and before that, I rarely spoke to anyone. I especially couldn't talk to the girls that I liked. The thought of getting up and speaking in front of even just a few people was terrifying. But by the time I was in my mid-20s, I was often appearing on stage in front of hundreds of people, sometimes in plays, and sometimes even by myself at talent shows. I had been able to overcome many of the self-doubts that had been ruling my life. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. People join Toastmasters because they want to improve a part of their lives. Perhaps they want to be more comfortable speaking in front of an audience, or become more competent in leadership roles. But efforts to change, make improvements, can be difficult and quite often unsuccessful, mostly because of self-doubts. I chose to overcome the overwhelming doubts that I had in myself when I was younger. And I hope that I can inspire those of you who are trying to make improvements to your lives by sharing with you the story of my transformation. There are three environments that most help me overcome my self-doubts. And like the word transformation, all three begin with the letter T. The first T was theater. I became interested in acting when I was 20 years old. It was an environment where I could take risks and try out new behaviors. It helped me become comfortable on stage. And I've become better at talking to people one-on-one. But I still suffer from self-doubts. I would never speak up in a small group. And I was still nervous talking to women I was attracted to. The second T was therapy. Through a variety of individual and group counseling environments, I was able to come to terms with the negativity that was common in my childhood, particularly the verbal abuse that I received from schoolmates. The third T was Toastmasters. The Toastmasters environment has helped me become comfortable speaking without being prepared, which has made it easier for me to speak up in small groups. It's helped me become even more confident in front of an audience. I once received a standing ovation from over 300 people for my performance in a talent show. And I've been given a catchy stage name, Grizzly Grover. But the best thing, through the process of overcoming my self-doubts, I became comfortable talking to the women I was attracted to. I met some of the most beautiful and interesting women that I've ever met to go out with me. They'd all said no, but at least I could ask. A friend of mine, who I met just as I was first coming out of my shell, has told me that my transformation is nothing short of miraculous. And I'm not done yet. I'm putting together stories in my programs with my stories and photographs that I'm hoping to perform all around the world. So maybe in a few years, my transformation will have reached a whole new level. Whenever you're in a bookstore, there'll be shelves right by the end that's full of Grizzly Grover short story photography collections. Every few weeks, there'll be articles in National Enquirer or People magazine about me having scandalous affairs with Zoe Deschanel and Gwyneth Paltrow. Scalpers will be asking hundreds of dollars each for tickets to watch me perform in sold-out auditoriums. There'll be a movie. The biggest box office hit of all time, The Grizzly Grover Story, with Clint Eastwood playing the part of me. Showing my transformation from incredibly shy loner to world-famous scoundrel. And when I speak, the heavens will open up, and stars will shoot across the sky, and maybe I overcompensated a little bit. to make is that people can change. When I was in the 6th grade, I was forced to participate in a play during school assembly. My voice was so weak that the other actors had to repeat my lines loudly in question form so the audience could know what I had said. I allowed humiliations like these to reinforce the doubts that I had in myself. But when I was about 20 years old, I realized that I wasn't going to lead a very satisfying life that way. So I chose to try to overcome those self-doubts. Because they were so deeply ingrained in my mind and personality, it took a long time for me to put them behind me. I'm still not entirely rid of them, but at least they don't have the stranglehold that they had on me in the past. Back in the 19th century, the author Alexander Dumas wrote, "A person who doubts himself is like a man who would enlist in the ranks of his enemies to bear arms against himself." That used to be me. Back when I couldn't even talk to the girls I loved. When I wanted to run out of the room whenever I was asked to speak in class. When I allowed the doubts that I had in myself to rule my life. With the help of 3 T's, theater, therapy, Toastmasters, I've been able to overcome those self-doubts. And I hope that many of you who've been allowing self-doubts to rule a part of your lives have been inspired by my story, so that you can begin or continue the process of your own.